And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Guildmaster. Now, this company, Good Games Publishing, a couple years ago put out The King's Guild, which was a generic-looking game to me, but it turned out to become one of my favorite games. I think it's fantastic. It was like a Splendor, but with a lot of different options. So I was pretty pumped when this is kind of a sequel to the game. It's a very different game. But Guildmaster, you have a bunch of heroes, you're collecting those heroes, and then sending those heroes out on missions. Not a new concept. There's a lot of games that do this, but I was pretty pumped about it. There's a lot of pieces, lots of different heroes with different stats. I was very excited. Let's take a look. There's a lot going on in this game, so I'm going to kind of just give you a quick overview. Each player is going to start with some starting cards. There's a methodology of picking them, but you have some novice adventurers. And adventurers are going to have stats in 6 different skills. So you can see he has a 3 in one skill, she's a 2 in a 1, etc. And they also might have special abilities. Some of these special abilities, if the sun is shining, happen all the time. Some of them only happen when the moon's in a certain position. Every round the moon flips from full moon to half moon, so some special abilities may not work all the time. Players are going to have these. They're also going to have a stack of order cards, and each round of the game, secretly, players are going to set up a very big shield in front of their order phase. So you'll take a shield, you're going to open up the shield, and you're going to place it in front. The shield has tons of rules on it, things that you can do in front of your orders, and then you're going to assign adventurers to orders. So maybe I'll assign these to order 1, these to order 2, and then I'm going to pick which spot on the board. So maybe I'll send these to A, and I'll send these people here to number 3. You're going to pick that. The order matters because you're going to do your 1s and then your 2s. If you're sending them out to do something that costs money, you place some money on the character also. Now, each person has a board. You can only go to 2 orders each round. You can't go to more than those until you upgrade it to do 3 orders or upgrade it to do 4 orders as time goes by. You can only send out 2 adventurers on each team, which also can be upgraded to a 3 and a 4. The final thing here that can be upgraded is you're going to get money every round, 2 money every round, but that can be upgraded to 4 and then 7. So players at the beginning of the game are only going to be able to send 2 adventurers out to 2 orders, but that's going to change as time goes by. Half of the orders involve money. You have more adventurers that you're going to be able to recruit. Each of the adventurers has a different cost based on whether the moon is a full moon or a half moon. And if multiple people go to the same one, whoever put more money on the character is going to get it. So this one costs 5 in a half moon, but if I put maybe 7 and you only put 5, you have to put at least 5. But if I put 7, then I'll spend 7 and I will get the character instead of you. You can't even take the heroes or the legends. For a hero, you need to have at least one of the adepts, and to take a legend, you need to have a hero in your group. So you can't even take these 3 characters on turn 1. The other thing you do is you can build. Remember, I already mentioned that you might want to upgrade different sections, like this bar here. This costs 2 builders. To do that, you're going to go to the building spot, and whoever has the most money will get to go first, and you essentially are buying builders. This token is going to keep moving up, so the more builders you buy, the more expensive they get. So if I want to build this bar 2, I need 2 builders on it. There's even big endgame scoring things that you can build, and you can see they all have a certain number of builders. And if someone else spends the money on builders, it could make those builders too expensive for me to do anything with. Then contracts, and this is the main way players are going to get points. So if you're the only person to go for a contract, you're going to attempt to complete that contract. If multiple people go, you will then at the same time decide to be cooperative or competitive about it, which means we're going to fight and whoever rolls better gets it. Here we can work together, but we'll split the rewards on the card. When you go for something, it's going to tell you what you need to accomplish this. So open this puzzle chest. I need 6 here or 10 of the blue. So let's say it's my team's turn, so I sent Pablo. He has 2 blue. So I'm going to get to roll 2 dice here to accomplish this. I rolled a 4 and a 5. That's not enough. I needed a 10. However, you can have buildings. You start with 1 building, but you can have more buildings that one of them you can play with this one that lets you re-roll 2 of your dice, up to 2 of your dice, or the other side of the building, which lets you change 1 die to up to a 5. Can't go to a 6, so you might want to take the one that lets you roll, because this one can go higher. But in this case, let's say I had the one that let me change one of my dice to a 5. I could say, oh, I'll change this 4 to a 5, and now I've accomplished this one. So I did the 10 blue, which I need to do. I get 3 gold, 2 victory points, and then a bonus. I can either take a gold or choose another guild to lose a fame. Now, if a player does not get something, let's say you went to buy somebody and someone beat you out to it, or you went to a contract and someone pushed your way to the front, or whatever it is, players will start with some private contracts that you can try to do. Or if you can't do them, you simply can wander, and there's a little chart in the book. You'll roll dice on one of your stats, and then you're going to get gold and or fame based on what you roll. Now, there's a whole lot more in the game, but that's the basic things. Obviously, you want to get these better people. I mean, look at this guy. When it comes to fighting skill, he has a 5 in fighting and a 4 in magic, and he can get rid of a contract and replace it with one from the discard pile. He's also worth 5 points at the end of the game. The game is going to take place over 9 rounds, 6 if you want a shorter game. On certain spots, everyone will draw more private contracts, and you'll also clear face-up cards at certain points so that you can put more out, because you're going to start with some basic contracts here, common contracts, but go all the way up to get to heroic contracts, which are worth a whole lot more points, but are a lot more difficult to pull off. So that's how the game plays at the end of 9 rounds. Whoever has the most money from the buildings they've built, from the heroes that they've contracted, and from the contracts they've completed is the winner of the game. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to components for this game. I really like the art for the most part, although there's the occasional person that you'll come across when you're going through these, Hugo. Is that a friend of the artist? Because some of them look very anachronistic. But for the most part, like, look at that. That looks really good. The art is good. The card design is very clean, both of the heroes and of the contracts. The orders are good. There is a lot of components, like you have your own deck of cards for all the different orders that you're trying to do. You got a ribbon here, and you're supposed to put this ribbon outside your massive shield when you're finished. That's kind of cool, but it is such a pain in the neck. It's just easier for everyone to say they're done. This is somewhat useful here, where it tells you all the upgrades, how to play, what you do with everything. You know what's not useful is the rule book. Now, you might be thrown because there's 2 rule books here. We have the Quick Start Guide, which is 11 really full pages here of rules and pictures and things like that. And then the actual rule book is 21 pages. The game is actually not that complex. This is an example of a rule book that explains too much. They're constantly going over, this is what you do in the order, and this is what you do if you cross somebody else, and then you do this and that and this. And to find anything in here I found to be a real chore. I was not happy with the rule book. Other than that, there's different dice. They have different colors, which really don't mean anything, but sometimes if you're rolling different dice for stats, that could be useful. The dice are fine quality. Overall, it's good quality, but there's a lot of pieces, and it doesn't feel like the game's as big as the number of pieces. I really wanted to like this game, but it has several problems which I just can't overlook. One of them is the game is too slow. It's a really slog of a game. It's 9 rounds, so you can shorten it to 6. The problem is if you shorten it to 6, you don't get to see some of the cool stuff that comes out later, some of the bigger heroes, so you're kind of giving that up. And I'll come back to that slog in a second. I want to talk about the other problem I have. It's just too much for too little. There's so many rules, like I said, and so many different things, and you're sitting there going, okay, I have these 2 people. You start with 4 people. I'm going to send 2 to this place and 2 to this one. Should I go build something? I can build all these different things. I can go here and recruit somebody else, and then, hey, we can also talk about it. Hey, I'm going to go recruit this, and no one else better go there. And that's, even that I don't have a problem with. There's a lot of pieces, a big shield, you're moving stuff. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. but it's very deflating, and it's going to happen, especially if you play with the full complement of players. It's very deflating to go to different spots and somebody beats you at both of them, or even one of them. You can only go to 2 spots at the beginning of the game. So if you go to a spot, I want to hire that adventurer. Oh, you hired them first. Oh, well, not a problem. I'll go on a private quest. Oh, I can't do one of these with that group. Okay, I'll go wandering, which is garbage wandering. I mean, at best you'll get maybe a couple coins and a point. That's not worth it, and you're behind everybody else. So at the beginning of the game, you want to build those buildings that let you send out more people, that let you go to more spots, that let you send more people out on the thing. But so does everybody else. Everyone wants the different buildings, the buildings that let you roll more dice. So everyone's going to go there. Everyone wants to have another person. Everyone wants to do the easy contracts. But even the contracts, there's usually so many contracts out there. I'm like, I'm going for that one. It just feels like there's so many different things to do, but some of them you need to do, and if you can't do it, you're behind. This is definitely a game where the rich get richer. If I get that heroic person on turn 1 and I outbid you, then yes, you have some more money than me for next turn, but now on the second turn I can go for a better hero and you can't even go for that one. I'm not even competing with you anymore because I can go for the better hero, and after that I can go for the legendary. Now you probably don't have money to do that necessarily, but it's the same thing. If I beat you for buildings and I can build the better upgraded buildings before you do, then on turn 2 I can do more things that you can't, but you got to wander. I really dislike that about this game. The punishment for missing out is too problematic. And then they add in this when you go out on a quest, let's do that whole, the prisoner's dilemma type thing, and it just adds more nonsense. The actual doing the contracts, I like that. I need 15 to complete this contract. And I'll send out people who are worth 4. 4 times 3 is 12, but I have a way to flip the dice. I also like that the one side of the die lets you flip it to a 5, one die to a 5, or re-roll 2. Re-rolling 2 could be better, could get you all the way up to a 12, but I usually pick the change one die to a 5 because changing a 1 to a 5 can be pretty handy. So some of that stuff I like. It just feels like the other players get in your way all the time, which I know is kind of the point of the game, but this game can be really, really problematic as everyone else just kind of beats down on you. Not necessarily because they're even trying to, but because you just pick the same stuff. There's lots of games where you pick the same thing as other people, but in this one, if you fall behind, it's really difficult to catch up. And then it's just a slow, I'll go back to the slowness of it. Okay, who's going here? Okay, you. Okay, now who's going here? And that's a long turn. And it feels very like you're trying to get this slow machine going. You can only send out 2 people to 2 spots. On turn 2, you might have picked up another person, but you still can only go to 2 spots. You can only send 2 people to each spot. No, I'll build a building. Now I can go to 3 spots, but I still only have 4 people. And it just takes a long time to get these engines going. And then the more engines you go, once you can go to 3 spots and send 3 people to each of those spots, then that round where you're picking where everybody goes takes a really long time. It feels like this could have been a really cool game. I like a lot of the concepts, but there's no streamlining here. It's just very problematic and everything comes together. Like I said, I wanted to like it. Money is super tight. You get 2 coins per turn. So you have to go on contracts to get money. But to go on contracts, you need the people to go do it. And if somebody crosses you, then you don't get any money that round. That just kind of ruined the whole game for me, really. And just to be clear, when I played this, I was the person who was the rich getting richer. So this isn't sour grapes from my end. It's just that I saw it happen. And in both games I played at this, one person just ended up completely miserable because when you fall behind, there's not a really good catch-up way to catch up to that. And the game's so long that it just makes you wallow in that misery for a while. You're like, oh, I'm finishing contracts. Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, I'm sending out 4 people to 4 different spots. How's that feel? I don't know. And then the 21 huge page rule book. It's too much. This needed the fine surgeon cut of a keen developer. Did not have it. So unfortunately, I can't recommend Guildmaster. Dice Tower Judgment, too much and too slow.